Hello and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be covering TradeSkillMaster. Now, you may not know what TradeSkillMaster is, but you've probably seen me use it in a few videos. It's the auctioning add-on that I use, and it's likely one of the most advanced add-ons that there is for World of Warcraft. That means that this guide is only really going to be covering the basics. It's going to be enough to get you going, give you a rough idea, but there's certainly a lot of room to learn. Anyway, there is a link in the description of this video to somewhere where you can download TradeSkillMaster itself. So I'm just going to type in /TSM to bring up its menu. Now this might all look sort of, big and scary, but we'll break it down and we'll go through this. It won't be too hard. So the main principle of TSM is this over here, groups. Now what you can do in TSM, or what you mainly do, is you make a group of items, right? So for an example, glyphs, and you then apply some rules to glyphs. For an example, what do you do when you're auctioning a glyph? What do you do when you're crafting a glyph? What do you do when you're mailing a glyph? You just set up simple operations which dictate how it treats your various glyphs. Now the way I've got this set up here is I've got a full group of glyphs, and then I've got subgroups which contain just the glyphs for each for each class, but you don't really need to do that, honestly. You could just have one big old dirty thing of glyphs, and that would do you just fine. But yeah, that's the basic principle, and I'm just using glyphs because they're a convenient example. Let's talk about transmog just for a second. So here is my overall group of items for transmog. And there, you got loads and loads of transmog items in there. But then if we go in here, we can see here's my ones that are of this price range. And I've got that all nicely organized. But again, I could probably just feck them all in here and it would be fine. But this is just how I have it set up. Now, why do you do all these groups? Well, essentially, it's so that you can manage a whole bunch of items very easily. And to show you, we're going to create a new group. So I'm just going to remake remake my glyph. So we'll just call this tutorial. That is wow. GLYPHS. There we go. My hand was not exactly in the right position on the keyboard. So here is what we've made. Tutorial glyphs. So here we've got a whole bunch of things. Operations, right? We'll talk about them in a minute. What we need to do first is actually put some items in this group of glyphs, right? Because there's nothing, look at that, there's nothing in. There's nothing in there at all. So let's just have a look at our items here. Now, you can actually do a whole bunch of things when it comes to adding items to a group. You can either just look through the things that are in your bag, which is displayed in this little thing here, or you can import items. Now, for an example, you see these glyphs here? I didn't do any of this. I just imported settings from Elvine's website. I'll put a link to that in the description. So I just copy and pasted his thing, put it in there, typed it in, hit OK, and all this stuff appeared. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to add them manually. So, I don't actually, do I have any glyphs in my, I don't have any. Okay, I've got like 2 or 3 glyphs. Never mind, that's enough to do. I'll check the mailbox here. There we go. So we'll just grab some glyphs. There we go, made a few hundred gold as well from some of my auctions. So, and this here is TSM mailing. Basically, TSM just has its own little mailbox thingy, which is very nice. You can open all your mail and do a few things that are decently handy. But right now, this is all we need. Also, there you go. We can see I made 730 gold there. So, type in /TSM again. We'll go to our groups. We'll go to the new group that we made for the tutorial. And I'm just going to filter these. What? Oh, I know what the problem is. Of course, the glyphs are already in here. So I'm just going to... we can just delete this, actually, because I can remake that very quickly. So, goodbye. There we go, tutorial glyphs. Now, if we look at... if we look here, we see loads and loads of different glyphs. So I'm just going to add all of these. And again, this isn't all the glyphs that I use. It's just for the sake of showing you how to set something up for the tutorial. These could be your enchant scrolls. They could be your gems. They could be anything. So we apply them. Now, we've got a group, and inside this group, we've got a bunch of glyphs. I could break this up more, but right now, we have enough to talk about auctioning and crafting and all the various rules that surround our glyphs. So right now, I don't have anything set up here. This means that if I go into the auction house, and I talk to the auction house NPC, and I go to auctioning, right? It asks me what groups I want to include when I hit post. And you can see, oh, glyphs aren't there. That's because I haven't made an auctioning operation, so TSM doesn't know what to do when I'm trying to sell glyphs. So we're going to make a new operation. And we're just going to call this tutorial glyph selling. There we go. Nice and simple. And we're going to add this operation to our group. So now if we go back to our group, we go to tutorial glyphs, we see the operations, and our selling operation here, or our auctioning operation, is this. Now let's have a look at the operation because we need to configure it first. So here is post. This is the main thing you're going to be looking at. So how long is it going to post them for? Since it's glyphs, we'll just say 24 hours for now. Post cap. How many are we going to post at once? Stack size. How many stacks are we going to post them? Keep quantity. How many are we going to keep in my bags? I'm fine with selling everything that I have, so I'm going to put that at 0. Here's your actual price settings down here. This is where the real important stuff happens. So bid percent. This is just dictating what percent of your buyout your bid is. I generally put this at around 95. I think that's a fair enough amount. In terms of how much you undercut, all you need to do is undercut by 1 copper. The whole point of undercutting is just so you appear higher on the list. It's not about giving the person who's buying your auction better value. I'll probably get a few dislikes for that, but anyway, that's what undercutting is. Next, we've got our price settings. Now, this is where stuff gets kind of complicated. You could just say, you know, I want to sell all my glyphs at a minimum of 30G, and away you go. But that's not a great way of doing it. This is where we run into something called sources. So I'm going to show you my actual glyph selling operation. All this stuff's very simple. Now, here's crafting. I've got crafting, I've got DB market. Now, DB market is it's what's called a pricing source. And if you type in /TSM sources, you'll see a whole bunch of these. Now, what DB market does is it's essentially a scan of the auction house that's got all the values. So if I was just to go up to the auction house, and you know the way, say, an auctioneer or something you could scan. If I was just to go up here, I was going to go into auction DB, and I was going to run a scan. That would be fine, okay? But as it says up here, scanning is no longer necessary. There's actually a desktop application that does this for you, and it will constantly update what DB auction actually is, you know, or auction DB is actually worth. Which means that if I go into my operation here, as you know, back where we were, well, go into my actual one, I never have to manually scan the auction house to get this price or anything like that. That is extremely handy. So yeah, DB market is essentially just updated by that. If we go here into post, if I scroll to the right, we've got the global market average and the region market and various things. I still need to sort of tweak around with these, but that's essentially what's going on here. Now, the TSM application is actually very easy to set up, and there's a lot of information on their website, so I recommend you do that, but for now, you can just scan this stuff yourself, and that will be fine. Just make sure you scan before you go to sell anything. So, in terms of our operations, where are we? There we go. I'm just going to view the operation settings again. So, this operation right now is nearly the same as my actual one, so I'm just going to hop over to that and show you what I'm doing. So, crafting. Now, for crafting, what it will do is it will look at the cost that it, that actually is to craft one of these glyphs. So, basically, the price of 3 Warbinders inks. And I only sell something if I can sell it for 130% of the crafting cost. I used to have a minimum price of the actual craft cost, but I realized that was silly, so I bumped it up to 130%. Here's the maximum price. This is as high as it will go, and that's 250% of DB market. And the normal price is 160% of DB market. So it says here, normal price, this is the price that it will post an item at if there are no other of that item on the auction house. And that's what's going on there. Now, if the price is below the minimum, I just post it at my normal price. And when the price is above my maximum price, I just post at my maximum. That's all fine, though. You won't really run into it that much. So, with this stuff set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to groups, going to go to my tutorial glyphs. We're just going to move that over to the regular selling glyphs, and this will post 2 stacks of 24 hours, and it will have the pricing settings that I talked about earlier. So, I will close all this stuff, and we can go back, go to auctioning. Here's tutorial glyphs. I'll select that. I hit post, and you don't need to worry about that. Then, you know all those glyphs I put in? It's now scanning them, and based on my rules, it's pricing them. These all cost under 20 gold to make, and as you can see, they're pretty much all making a nice profit. So, I then just sell them all. Now, to post these, all I'm doing is holding control and using my scroll wheel. I'll show you how to set that up right now. And that's really most of TSM done. Now, if what I can also do, if I just show you TSM again, and we go into tutorial glyphs, go to options, or operations even, we view them, there's also cancel. Now, this just dictates when it should cancel an auction. So right now, these are all fine. If you're undercut, then it'll cancel your auction so you can repost it at a higher price so that you're the lowest seller. Reset is an advanced thing, so I'll not cover that here, and same goes for relationships. I don't really use any of this stuff myself. All you need is post and cancel. Cancel set up by default, and post is just the thing you need to worry about. So say if someone was to undercut my Glyph of Vendetta, right? Well, then if I went to, say, start a cancel scan, what it does is it goes through all of my things in glyphs and tells me what's up. Now, I've sort of messed up my pricing there, but that's fine. Apparently I've been undercut for these two. Hang on, I've been undercut by myself, so it's cancelling my old auction. Interesting, but essentially that's, what you do. You can cancel things, and that's all fine. If I just, finally, we go back here, review that everything's okay. I should probably change that. Let's just put that at 110, because well, not 1010, 110, because it looked like there were some oddities going on there. But that's generally what's going on there. Now, there are a few other different kinds of operations, so we'll go back to groups, we'll go to our little tutorial group, we'll go to operations again, and here's crafting. Now, I'm just going to show you my only crafting thing that I use personally. I still need to do more of this, and this is glyph crafting. So, I restock 2 glyphs and a minimum profit of 20 gold. How does it work out that profit? Well, it takes the sell price of the glyph, it then takes the crafting cost, and if there's 20g profit, then it will make me one of these glyphs, which is very, very nice. And that's really all you have to set up here. It's so damn easy. So if I go and I hit K to bring up my profession thingy, hang on, this isn't the character with that profession. 1 second, I'll just hop on to to the correct alt. Alright, here I am on my main character, actually, which is the one with inscription. And just before I show you the glyph stuff, I actually forgot to show you something. Do you remember the way that I hit control and then my scroll wheel to post those things very quickly? To do that, all you do is you click on module operations / options, you go to auctioning, you go to options, and then you set up your macro down here. Anyway, with that covered, I'm going to open up inscription, and here is the TradeSkillMaster crafting thingy. So, you can actually get it to automatically make a group for you, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So if I type in /TSM, I go to groups, again, you'll find that you spend a lot of time in groups. Then I hit yes. I can actually find that it will auto-generate inscription for me. And here's the crafts and the materials. And inside crafts, you've got all the crafts that I currently am able to make. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, as I was saying, I was going to talk about TSM crafting and how those rules are working. So here's my crafting queue. This is just set up from earlier, though. So we're just going to clear that. And this may seem kind of complicated, actually. But what I'm just going to do is type in TSM. I'm going to go back to groups. Go to our tutorial thing. We're going to apply glyph crafting to the operations. This now means that TSM has some rules to tell it what to do when I go into my professions, I go to inscription, and I ask it about crafting. You can see here that I can now click in tutorial glyphs, and I can now select all groups or deselect, so that just is selecting, that's simple. Create profession groups, which is what I did earlier, or restock selected groups. So if I click this, you'll see actually it's not restocking anything. Because I've actually got full stock of all those glyphs that I had. But if I ran out of those glyphs, then this would populate with things to craft. And then if I went and got all the resources, I could just hit craft. Then I'd have a bunch of items in my bag, which I could then go and sell. And that really is the main crux of TSM. You just set up your groups, you set up a bunch of rules surrounding them, and away you go. So again, like for an example, if I was going to do, say, gems and enchanting, I could just make a group, fill it up with all of my gems, then apply the rules for if I'm selling a gem, or the rules if I'm crafting a gem, and then away you go. As long as you set up these rules right, and you have a whole bunch of items inside your group, then it's pretty much all easy. That's a basic little guide to TSM. I'm going to put some links to other resources in the description of this video, though. This is more just to give you a basic idea of the base functionality. There's a lot more reading to do, so you should go and do that.